Welcome to the Now to Next podcast, where every week we provide wisdom on how to press play after a traumatic pause. If you are starting up or starting over in any area of your life or your business, subscribe and listen as we share real life stories from actual people who have pressed play and are winning after nearly losing it all. And now, your host, Octoria Robinson.
Are you ready to press play today? Let's get rocking, friends. Join me in welcoming Kreasha Wilson. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I am great. So glad to have you. Thank you for joining us way from California.
Woo, it is my pleasure to join you.
Awesome sauce.
I'm so honored to be on your podcast today.
Thank you. And with that said, help our listeners understand who you are, because we really like to get to know the people we have conversations with. So share a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Kreasha Wilson. I'm 51 years old. I'm from San Francisco, California. I have 3 beautiful children, well, young adults now. I like to cook. I love going to the movies. My favorite comedian is Tiffany Haddish at the moment. And, you know, I love going to church. I love my church. And, you know, I'm just trying to enjoy the second half of my life.
Come on. I want to be like you when I grow up. So, just to recap, what our show is about is helping people like you and me who have stories or situations that have come about over the course of our lives that could have stopped us and maybe even stopped us for a little bit. But somewhere, somehow, we were able to resurrect some inner strength to press play in spite of trauma. We go deep into those stories to help our listeners do the same or greater. Today, I'd like to hear what's happened in Kreasha's life, that trauma that you did not think you'd be able to ever overcome.
Well, Octoria, I'd like to start with the death of my mother, actually. I was a little girl, but it really traumatized my life. It actually changed the whole course of my life. Once my mom died, things kind of spiraled out of control for me, and eventually I got into the world of drugs and alcohol.
Can you describe that world for those of us who may not understand what the world of drugs and alcohol consists of?
Oh, certainly. At the age of 20 years old, I had a 20th birthday, had family members of a boyfriend of mine who invited us over to have a little get-together, a little party. We were introduced to crack cocaine and alcohol and cigarettes and pills and everything that you could use to get inebriated. They had, basically. And so once I was introduced to the drug, like they say that it is very addicting very fast, that statement was very true for me and my boyfriend. So we went through years being codependent in a relationship, ups and downs, and at the same time having 3 children.
My God. All while being addicted to drugs?
All while being addicted to drugs. Completely addicted to crack cocaine, marijuana, alcohol, cigarettes. It was a really bad cycle.
What I want our listeners to really get, what was it like living? How many years did that go over the span of?
A span of about 22 years.
So over 22 years being addicted to crack cocaine and bringing and raising children in it. Give us what it was like a day. Describe it to us, what it was like in one day in your life in the midst of all of that.
Okay, let me give you a perfect example. So my 3 kids went to school every day. My boyfriend, he went to work. He was a functioning addict. So no matter what he did the night before, he still got up and went to work. And that left me in the house to take care of the cooking and everything else that needed to be done. My day consisted of prepping for him to come home later on that night so that we can get high.
Wow.
I made sure that the food was cooked for the kids downstairs. Let's make sure they had to stay downstairs to do their homework and eat their dinner. And while they were downstairs doing what they were supposed to do, we were upstairs getting high.
How many hours was that for?
Oh, wow. It could range between 6 to 16 in a night. It all depends on actually how much money we had that evening, or, you know, how actually tired we was, because at some point your body shuts down.
I want to make sure I understood your response. When I asked how many hours you guys would have your drug binges in the evening, was that 6 to 16 hours?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It depends on the amount of money we had, because with one thing about crack cocaine is while you're actually using the drug, you're trying to figure out a way to get the next hit. It's a never-ending cycle. You're using and you're taking a hit and then you try to drink. Well, my thing was I like to drink a lot of alcohol to bring myself down from the quote-unquote tweak of the drug. A tweak is when your mind goes other places after you take a hit. It's actually known as cocaine psychosis. So you start being paranoid. You start, you can never get enough. In your mind, you're thinking, oh God, what can I do? Oh, we're down to the last $10. What can we do? Who can we call to try to get some more money so we can keep this going? You know. And this was what we did was one night we would get high, and one night we would eat. I mean, badly, real like junk food and stuff. So we'd have one night of rest in between. So we would get high every other day. Wow. And when we got high, we started, once he opened the door and came in the house, it was on. He would come in with the snacks and the food and the stuff for the kids, the alcohol and the cigarettes for us, and then he'd say, I'll be right back. And then he'd go outside and he'd go purchase the drugs, and he'd come back in and come upstairs and tell the kids, y'all stay downstairs and do what y'all need to do. And we'd be upstairs getting high.
Wow. I have 2 questions that are racing through my mind right now, and one is taking us back to the beginning and one is going to land us right where we're at right now. So why did you say yes to drugs in the first place? Because you mentioned that it was only introduced to you. Was there any kind of peer pressure or in the atmosphere? Why did you even say yeah?
I said yes because I was living with the mentality that since my mother died, OD'd at 24, that I chose to not live past 25. So by this point, I'm 20 years old. So, hey, might as well get the party started so I can make sure I can meet my goal of being dead by 25. And this was pre-kids.
Wow.
So my mindset changed after I had my kids, and, they are my world. So
with that brings me to my next question. And this one may be a little bit sensitive, but I know some of our listeners may be thinking, you two who are grown and you have made your decisions on using and abusing drugs, but these poor children who didn't ask to be a part of this equation, they're downstairs essentially every night raising themselves. It was almost like you guys chose having a relationship with your addiction as opposed to being a active, involved parent.
Well, actually, addiction is a disease. It's not like we chose it. Sometimes things are happening around in your life that it actually chooses you. And that I can't speak for no one else's journey, but that's actually what happened with me. I grew up, feeling unloved, unwanted, skipped from house to house after my mother passed. So when I was able to break free, I was very rebellious and did what I wanted to do. At the age of 14, 15 years old. So by the time I got to 20, I was ready for even the next level. So, let me just say this. Even though I was addicted to drugs, my children were my world. I had certain rules. There was nobody, we lived in San Francisco housing property. There was no one was allowed to come into my home and smoke drugs over my children but me and their father. No one was allowed to smoke drugs before 5 o'clock. Simple reason is this, because that's one of the main rules that can get you evicted. My children, as I mentioned earlier, is called a tweak, where you focus on one thing. Once you take a hit, my children were my tweak. I wanted to make sure, are you guys okay? Did you finish your homework? Whose turn is it to go in there and take their shower for the night? Okay. You need anything? I wanted to my tweak was to make sure that my kids was good. Even though, and I have 3 children. They are now 27, 28, and 29. My oldest daughter, Amanda, is 29. And she told me that the other kids did not, because of the way I was so strict about the use of the drug in my home. She said that the other 2 did not know that I was using.
Oh, now did any of your kids end up abusing drugs as adults or teenagers?
No, thank God. No, thank God. They are very, very motivated, active young adults, all with their own careers. My youngest daughter is a high school English teacher, graduated from San Francisco State University. My son went to San Jose State University. He is an international banker. And my oldest daughter, Amanda, she's moved to LA. She started her own small business. She graduated from UCLA with 2 degrees, one in psychology and one in dance. And she has now opened up her own dance studio. So they're very successful. They take care of themselves. They pay their own bills. They're very responsible. See, this is the one thing I said to my children. It's not where you live, it's how you live. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Amen. So I told them, just because, we're living in this very poor environment, once you have to know that you can do anything you want to do in life. We did push into them. Well, their father went to all of their basketball games, track meets. So we were active parents. We was just in an addiction that happened to happen before they were born, and we still couldn't seem to fight the demon to get out of it. We just found better ways to live with it.
Now, some may be listening, and thank you for going there with us, because that really helps our listeners to connect and process. But I felt in my heart that someone who's struggling with that exact same scenario, maybe they're addicted to gambling, pornography, drugs, etc., and their dysfunction has definitely not been of a benefit to their family. And in fact, it's destroying it. And they're like, listening to you right now and they're screaming, help, Kreasha. I'm that parent that goes in my room and remains in my room for days on end, binging out on drugs or whatever it is with no regard for my family or any other responsibilities that I have. How did you change from being an addict to an advocate for healthy living and so on?
Well, actually, it was kind of a dramatic change. The father of my 3 children, he got shot. He was coming in from work and he got mixed up in somebody else's stuff and he got shot. That literally changed my life and the life of my 3 children. I was at the point where it was time it's time. It's over. It's time to stop. I'm tired of living this life. I want to be free of living in this addictive pattern that I was in for so many years. I was at the point where I called my addiction the Great 3. I had to have the alcohol, the drugs, and the cigarettes all at the same time. If I did not have all 3 of them, I would not use either one of the other 2 until I did. It got to the point where I was sick of drinking, I was sick of drugging, I was sick of it all. I actually, once my 3rd child left and went off to live in the dorms for college, I decided that I was going to get high one night, and I'm in the house all by myself. Now, mind you, their father is in the hospital, still being treated because he's now paralyzed from the waist down. He spent 8 months in different hospitals, and eventually he had to move with his mother in Sacramento because she had a flat 4-bedroom. There was room for him there. Where I lived, there were stairs, so there was no possible way he could come back. He didn't want to come back. So God forced the situation before it killed us, basically. Because we would have kept going. And the only reason why I say that I would have kept going is because when you're in a codependent relationship with someone else, if they get high, if he got high, I needed to get high because I couldn't deal with him sober. So we either had to be high together or sober together. So what I'm saying is you can do it. I'm telling you, I was very addicted to several things. And you can get clean. It's not impossible. There is light on the other side. My personal journey is I just got on my knees and I asked the Lord to help me. And I laid in the bed after being high for 2 days straight with the Bible pumping up and down on my chest. I opened my Bible. I put it to the 23rd Psalm. I laid it on my chest and my chest pumped. And I just asked the Lord to please surrender me, deliver me from this life. And if you do that and let me get through this night alive, I promise you I will never touch drugs again. And that was going on 11 years ago. Wow. I never went to a rehab center. I have never relapsed. And I surrendered my life over to God. And I've been clean and sober ever since.
Congratulations to you, Kreasha.
Thank you.
Just
it was a journey. It was a ride. I gotta tell you now.
I'm with you. I mean, the parts that you've shared today, I know our listeners are like, how was it possible for her to take what should have created dysfunctional children to create productive citizens who are a part of just positivity and doing great things with their lives, sweetheart? Your life's a miracle. And I know you said that there were regulations and rules that you have, but I got to believe that God had angels assigned to your children that covered and protected them from not being exposed to what was read in front of them. Even though they were your tweak and, you really had a high esteem for them. But the reality is that you guys were addicted to a drug that had a lot of control over you and what you did and what you didn't do. So I thank you for sharing this story and giving hope to our listeners. Maybe you are listening today, guys, and you've been privately addicted and struggling with something that you didn't want to tell anybody about. I hope Kreasha's story inspires you to open up. Get the help you need. You are worth more than your next hit or your next bet or your next sneak peek at whatever that thing is you think is the purpose and the reason why you're on this planet. It is not the best thing you're going to experience. What's on the other side of it is we want you to know that you are worth reaching out to. With that said, Kreasha, how can people connect to you if they want to continue to grow with your journey and maybe just express their story with you? How would they be able to reach out to you?
Well, can I just say this first?
Sure.
Because I didn't go to rehab and have never relapsed doesn't mean that I encourage people to seek whatever help they can get, however they need to do what they need to do to get clean and sober. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing on the other side. Your life is so much easier. And when I tell you that I prayed for peace of mind and God granted me peace of mind, it's something that is completely priceless. So please, can I encourage any and everybody? My name is Kreasha Wilson, Kreasha, last name Wilson, Wilson. You can find me on Facebook. I have made my Facebook public. If you friend request me and you need to talk or anything, we can, and if you don't feel like talking on Facebook, we can privately message each other. Whatever I can do or say that may help you get to the other side of the darkness, I am here for you. I'm here. God has a calling over my life. He saved my life so that I can help any and everybody who may need my help. I am here for you. So please Facebook me, send a friend request in at any time, and I will gladly accept it.
Wow. I am blown back. Thank you again for sharing
you're
this
so very, very welcome.
Transparent sneak peek into what was probably the darkest chapter in your life and leave us on such a high note of hope. Guys, I want you to remember this. Trauma, even in the form of addiction, is not the end of your journey. Triumph is. I look forward to connecting with you all soon. Until that time, have an exceptional day.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast today. For all things Launch Now, log on to launchnowus.com for info on products, resources, and upcoming events. We are looking forward to connecting with you and enriching your life through our next episode. And remember, you have what it takes to press play. Have a super duper epic week.